Welcome to ASHLEE Marie. Today I'm going to show you how I get this suede effect onto cakes. It's really fun and really simple. Let's get started. To attach things to fondant, you can either use vodka or you can simply get it wet. Sometimes you want the stronger ability of the vodka or some kind of clear alcohol, and sometimes just getting it wet is good enough. It kind of depends on what you're attaching. Now, one of my favorite techniques is actually to steam my cake. If you steam your cake and leave it, you'll get a great glossy finish. Or you can steam your cake and then use it to attach things to it. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. For a steamer, you can use anything that you want. If you have a really big clothes steamer with a handle, those things are great and awesome. But they're also kind of expensive. So I got myself a travel steamer. It actually does two things. I take it with me when I'm traveling, but usually and most often I use it for cakes. So it doesn't take very long. You just fill it up, plug it, put the lid on, plug it in, and you're ready to go. So you can see the steam coming out already. It's nice and pretty. And I will caution you to be careful. It is steam. It is very hot and you can easily burn yourself. Like, don't try to steam your own shirt while you're wearing it. You'll give yourself some burns. So the other thing is, if you get too close to the cake, you'll actually get too much moisture on it. It'll get wet and drippy, and drips are a killer for fondant. Any kind of liquid actually eats that top layer of fondant, which is what we're going for. We want to make our cake tacky enough to hold things, but too close and drips, and those drips will actually eat their way through the fondant and they'll show up in your final cake. I'm just going to take one pass, turning as I go, and you'll notice the cake is getting nice and shiny. And I'm not holding it too close, and I'm not holding it in one place very long either, kind of like painting a wall. Now you can see it's also getting my top nice and shiny. I have regular cocoa, I have some dark cocoa, and then I have a mixture of the two. And kind of depending on the color of your chocolate, it's going to depend on what color of the cocoa you go with. So we're going to try both. This is a brush that I only ever use for cake decorating. All right, so let's try some cocoa. Get it nice in that cocoa and then shake off the excess. And then we're just going to pat it onto our cake. And you can see that's actually a lot lighter. We're going to go darker now. Another section of this. Now, usually I test this on just a flat rolled out piece of fondant, but it's easier to show you guys in 3D. All right, so then we're just going to pat that on. And you can see that's a lot closer to the color that we're doing. So if you want the lighter cocoa, make sure that the chocolate fondant that you're putting on your cake is a little bit lighter. Otherwise, it tends to kind of stand out and look really bright. Now this dark one I think is a little bit too dark, so now I'm going to try the mixture of the two. All right, and I like the depth that that gives a little bit better. So again, test this out before you put it on your cake so you don't have a cake like mine that's 3 different colors. But the great news is we can actually keep going around and create layer upon layer, and it's going to give us some depth. So I'm actually going to start with this mixed one and bring it all the way around the cake. Now, the reason that I pat instead of brush, when you're patting, I'm actually getting a pretty good layer of this on here, where if I brushed it on, it's creating lines and it's not quite as thick. So we're going to keep patting it on and getting it nice and thick along. I'm going to kind of brush off that lighter cocoa from earlier. dusty. Now I taste cocoa. So I've gone around the cake twice now. I've added the mixed cocoa and the dark cocoa in layers to try to give it some depth. You can just see I'm really trying to pound this powder into this and make sure it gets nice and dull. I'm gonna let it sit like this for a while, and then I'm gonna brush off the excess. If I brush it off too soon, I'm actually gonna take too much off, and it's gonna leave the surface a little bit shiny still, and we don't want that at all. All right, it's been about 5-10 minutes, and we're gonna brush off the excess now. Now you just wanna do this with a light hand, because if you are too heavy, you're just gonna leave brush strokes, which we don't want either. So it's kind of a pat and brush off at the same time. All right, we're all done. As you can see, it's all soft and luscious and looks a lot like suede all the way around the cake. Now, when I go to deliver this cake, if I have multiple tiers, I'll actually take a little bit of the cocoa powder and the brush with me so that as I, touch it and get my hands on it and set it up, I can brush away my fingerprints. It's a really forgiving cake, so have fun. Now I'm going to color a colored cake with some colored powdered sugar. Now, if you don't know how to make colored powdered sugar, I have a video for you. All right, so just like the last cake, we're going to steam this sucker. Now, if you don't have a steamer, you can just use a brush and get your cake wet. Just like I've warned before, you want it to be damp evenly. You don't want it to be soaked, and you certainly don't want it to be dripping. So if you do use a brush, just be really careful. Make sure you're pretty heavy-handed with this. You want to shake it off because you don't want any big chunks stuck onto the cake, but at the same time, we definitely want to get a nice coating of this powdered sugar on the cake. Again, you wouldn't want to brush it off. That'll leave big strokes and it will probably take off too much. So we're going to take kind of the same technique that we were already doing. Just kind of work our way top down, but without getting any new powder on the brush. Kind of push it down as we go. On the top, I'm just going to angle this a little bit and kind of do the same thing. Just kind of lightly work off the extra. This is just a really light touch too. Now we're done. As you can see, it did the same thing that it did with the cocoa, kind of created this soft, textury, suede-y look. I'm really happy with it. I love it. And like I said, if the next day you notice that there's a spot that's dry, just keep this powder and you can brush a little bit more on. It works great. It's really forgiving. If you decide it's too thick, brush more off. If you decide that you want a little bit more texture, pat a little bit more on. It's really easy to use. We're all done. We have this finished suede effect, either with cocoa powder or colored powdered sugar. It looks amazing. It's rich and luscious, and I just love how it looks in person. I wish the video truly captured just how soft and amazing and welcoming it really is. It's a really fun effect, and it's super simple. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss any of our other tutorials, and let me know if there's something that you guys want to see and I'll make sure to get on it. Thanks for watching.